I think I hate your mother. Hate my mother? Why should I think I hate your mother?
I haven't got fed up of your stupid jokes yet.
I'm glad we're both bemused by me.
Rob has me in stitches with his funny stories, and his slippers with the pom-poms on make me laugh.
In your jokes. And the truth is, you can't change somebody else, but you can change yourself.
I was almost frightened of sex, if I'm honest.
You know, in the midst of all these very normal struggles, you had something, though, that wasn't so normal happen to you guys that I would like to hear a little bit more about.
In all the years, nobody's ever asked us that question.
Hello and welcome back to Couple Goals. We're so excited to have you join us on this brand new podcast from Care for the Family, and we're just really excited to have you follow along on this journey with us. So I'm LJ.
And I'm Luke, and every week we're going to be talking to real couples as they share with us the highs and lows of marriage, being in a long-term relationship, and what are the wisdom, stories and different things we can take from that.
And as we're brand new, we'd love you to keep up to date with us. So please do like and subscribe and follow us across our social media channels so that you don't miss a next episode when it comes out.
And this week we are joined by Rob and Di Parsons.
Thanks
Welcome,
for joining
guys.
us.
Hello.
Great to
Between
be
the pair
here.
of you, you have spoken all over the world. You have written many books, and you are the founders of Care for the Family.
We are.
Therefore, the founders of Couple Goals.
Yeah, we wouldn't have Couple Goals without Care for the Family.
Absolutely.
No, thank you guys for coming. Before we get into it, we have to do a bit of mandatory fun. Are you up for it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I like a bit of fun.
Good. We call it the icebreaker. So let me just get the amazing piece of kit.
So we've got this lovely wheel with lots of colours on it. And the idea is we're going to have to spin it, and then we can pick the corresponding coloured card from the table, and we will ask you guys a question.
Okay.
We don't know what these are, so this will be a bit of fun. So Rob, you want to give that a spin?
Yeah.
You can go first.
What are we?
Blue.
What colour are we?
Blue.
Blue.
Lightish blue?
All right, and we got to answer these as well.
Oh.
So yeah.
Ooh, it's a good one.
We
You
could
ready?
end the episode at the beginning.
Okay. So, what is something about your partner that still surprises you even years into your relationship?
Ooh.
I want to go first on that one.
Go
Is
for
that
it,
all
Rob.
right?
Yeah.
Diane is incredible at Wordle. Now, why that surprises me, right, is I taught English, but she just beats me every night at Wordle. And it annoys me, to be honest.
It really annoys you.
No, it does.
Yeah, it
No,
does.
she's...
Do you practice
That's a
in
nice
your spare
surprise.
time to try and beat her?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
In fact, the other day, I looked up the answer in the afternoon, and I got it in one. But I'd have been better getting it in two, because she didn't believe that I got it in one. Yeah, brilliant.
I didn't know you did that.
No, I didn't know. No.
So you're surprised.
I am
There you
surprised.
go. The trust is gone.
My surprise is that Rob is amazing. I have to say, he's an
Aw.
amazing husband. But my one surprise is he still doesn't know where his car keys are every day. Every day, it's where's my car keys?
In your jokes.
And I'm thinking, why hasn't he learned to put them in one place
Right.
to know where they are?
Right.
That's
Simple.
great. I love that.
Determine the place for him. You say.
Simple, dimple.
Yeah.
Do you know, when you've
There's your
been
ball.
married for 54 years and somebody asks your wife, what surprises you about your husband? You hope him something better than he doesn't know where to put
Well,
his car
I
keys.
tried thinking of something.
Yeah. Thanks.
Lovely.
Should we answer this one as well?
Okay. Do you want to go first? Have you got something?
I don't really know, to be honest, with you. I think it's more you put up with me. I think it's that.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still surprised that
I'm still here.
She still thinks I'm funny.
Well, do you know what? My answer is going to be that I still find you funny. I haven't got fed up of your stupid jokes yet.
I'm glad we're both bemused by me.
Yeah.
Right, so it's our turn now. Okay.
Right, spin that wheel.
The Wheel of Fortune.
Red,
go.
right.
Oh, so you get to read this to
You get
us,
to read
right?
Why don't you read it out then?
Oh, well, you've already answered this question.
Oh, okay, Di.
Who is the fun one?
Oh, both of us, though.
Oh,
Both.
are
Right.
you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's
I think
rather
that's
nice.
fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is rather nice.
I think we're both as daft as each other. One thing that my mum said to me the first time she met Luke was she looked at me, rolled her eyes and said, yeah, well, that makes sense. He's as daft as you are.
Which I was wholeheartedly offended by, but yeah, we've moved on since then.
Well, that's really nice, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh a lot, don't we?
We laugh a lot.
We laugh most nights before we go to sleep.
I love that.
I think we do, honestly. Rob has me in stitches with his funny stories and little ditties and his slippers with the pom-poms on. They always make me laugh.
I think they need to come into the office sometime so we can see these slippers, Rob. I want proof.
There you go.
Well, thank you for indulging us.
Thanks for joining in and a bit of forced fun.
Bit of forced fun.
Lovely.
So, as we alluded to, you are the founders of Care for the Family, the national charity that you both have founded to strengthen family life across the UK. Where did that dream for Care for the Family come from? Why did you think this is something we need to do? Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Well, I think I see it as many, many years ago, after I had Lloyd, I was really unwell for about 6 years. And it was that time I couldn't go to church, really, and I couldn't face people. And we started a strugglers group in the house because I was really struggling. And they didn't know at the time, but I had ME and it wasn't recognised in those days. So it was pretty dim, to be honest. And then, so from that, I think we saw that there was a great need for couples who were struggling.
Yeah.
So we started this group in our home called For Strugglers. And it grew up from there, really.
It was an amazing time. It was really a hard time in our marriage. Diane woke up one morning. Lloyd had just been born, really. Katie was about 3. And Diane turned to me one day in bed. I remember it now as if it were yesterday. She said, darling, I don't think I can cope anymore.
Wow.
And those words ushered in a lot of years of darkness for Diane and I. And as Di began to get better, she said to me one day, do you know, Rob, we went to a church. She said our church has lots of discussion groups on a Wednesday night. She said, I'd like to start one for people who are struggling. They're struggling emotionally, they're struggling in their relationships. Perhaps they had a faith and lost it. They're struggling financially. Whatever. I said, darling, we'll just depress each other. She said, no, it'll be fine. And you know, guys, honestly, people practically broke our door down to get into that, didn't they?
It was
Do you remember
amazing,
some of the nights
yeah.
there?
I mean, we had bank managers there, we had accountants there, we had cleaners there. It was just right across the board. It was unbelievable. People knocking the door to want to come and join this group. And it was refreshing, it was challenging, moving.
But we didn't have any answers. We didn't have any clever answers.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what we did have. And what I was wonderful, and it is a great character of my wife, is she's just really honest. Too honest for me sometimes, to be honest. But what that did for people, it made them realise this is not just us.
Yeah.
We'd have couples who were going through tough times in their marriage, and we would tell them about our tough times, or tough times emotionally or physically, and it was just amazing. And one night we were kind of washing up the coffee cups after they'd gone, and I said to Di, darling, can you imagine doing this, not just to 12 people, but to thousands of people? And I remember she said, Rob, I'm only just hanging on by my fingertips myself. I said, no, I mean really doing it. Now, I was a lawyer then, and she said, do you mean leaving the legal practice? I said, yeah. And one day we did.
It was pretty scary.
And Care for the Family was
Yeah.
It was
born.
pretty scary.
Imagine it felt like a bit of a risk. Like, how did you feel about that, Di, when Rob said that?
I had real faith in Rob, and I knew we'd prayed about it, and I knew that it was, going to happen, really. I just didn't realise that it was going to happen then. But it did, and it was a bit nerve-wracking. We had 2 small children.
Yeah.
And, I still wasn't brilliantly well. So it was all tentative for me.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing. The journey has been unbelievably amazing.
And I'll tell you what was staggering, and perhaps this has become a hallmark of Care for the Family. Remember when we began, Di and I were going to go on the road running some marriage seminars.
Okay.
That happens a lot now, but it didn't happen very much in those days. And I can remember the guy organising them, and he'd run a national charity. He said, well, you and Dan will be able to tell people how to have a great marriage. And I said, there's a bit of a problem with that, Lyndon. And he said, what's the problem? I said, well, we've been through some very, very tough times.
Yeah.
To be honest, times when it seemed it was all over.
Mm.
And he said, well, why don't you tell people about that? And we did.
Mm.
And people came in their thousands.
Yeah.
They didn't know us from Adam. And we were just honest, really. But it's liberating because then you don't have to prove yourself.
It was just real.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it. And that's what I love about Care for the Family. It's real. You know, there's no hiding behind masks and, you know, pretending everything is hunky-dory because it doesn't work.
That's incredible.
amazing.
And I think as well, this podcast, Couple Goals, we actually were toying with the idea of calling it the Strugglers Group. Because
Really?
I think that idea of talking to real couples who, they're not hiding behind masks, they're
No.
coming on, they're bearing it all, we're hearing their stories, and we're hopefully going to learn some things that we can bring into our own relationship, into our own
definitely.
marriages, to help us get through those difficult times. And like Care for the Family's whole thing, isn't it? Like we try to be preventative in what we're doing, strengthening people. And the hope of this podcast is that will be just a little aspect of that.
I remember talking to a young guy some years ago. I suppose he's about 25, 26. He had a little baby girl. And he said to me, I'm leaving my wife. And I said, oh, why are you doing that? And he said, because I don't feel in love anymore. And I told him about the time, and it wasn't a week or a month, it was years, where I don't think we felt in love. And he seemed surprised. He said, but you've written books on it, you've written... I think probably every marriage goes through a time where at least one of the partners feels, this is a mistake, this is over. And we begin to imagine the person we should have married. And they're everything our partner's not. They're stronger with the kids, they're better cooks, they're a sexual athlete, they're everything. And sometimes, you know, and look, hey, listen, I see enough pain and Care for the Family in a week to last me a lifetime. I know there are no easy answers to this stuff. Nevertheless, it was a big lesson for us. We've been married a long time, and I think we could say that we love each other more than ever, but there have been some very dark times. Times when it did seem it was all over. And I look back now and I think, gosh, I don't know if you feel like this, how easy it would have been just to walk away from it all. I'm not saying that's sometimes not right for people, but for us it would have been
Disaster.
Disaster.
So what kept you together in that time? How did you get through that dark time?
I think actually being honest with each other, sitting down and talking to each other without a lot of angst, because there is angst when you have those discussions, but taking on board what each other has to say and thinking about it and realising that it's not just the one side, there's both sides that need to be listened to, and somehow trying to get through those differences and, you know, by talking about them. Now, that might sound all easy peasy, and it's not. It takes a long time sometimes to do that, you know?
So we've been married probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years by then perhaps, or a bit less than that perhaps. And I remember somebody saying to us, you've got to talk to each other. I was busy in the law practice, I was busy with this and that. And I remember one winter's night, we sat down in front of the fire, and one of us said, well, let's talk to each other. Like, what do you want to talk about? Well, you go first. And Dan said to me, I want to talk about your mother. I said, no, I don't want to talk about my mother. She said, no, I want to talk about your mother. So I said, well, what do you want to say about my mother? Should I think I hate your mother? I said, what do you mean you hate my mother? Well, should I think I hate your mother?
But at this time, I was going through a very dark illness.
Yeah, but you still hated it, Dan. Never mind.
And you're holding on to that.
But you know, that was my fault, really. My mum could read and write, but not much more than that. But she was one of the wisest women I've ever known.
Other than me.
Sorry.
One off.
Obviously.
One off. Yeah.
No, actually, she was the wisest woman. No, and I was close to her. And you know, when we got married, we lived very close, and I used to nip in and see her almost every day. And I remember but we didn't have any money when we got married. Literally, we had no money. But we did have a rented flat, and we bought a new carpet. I remember a Criterion cord carpet.
Purple.
And one day, while we were both at work, my mother said, "I've just nipped round to hoover it for you." She thought that would be helpful. Yeah? And I used to nip in and see my mother every day. And the truth is, I think I tried to keep two women going.
Okay.
And it was a bad mistake. The good book says when you get married, leave your husband, leave your mother and father and cleave to your husband and wife. And there's some truth in that. And when I began to put my mother in her right place and Dan in her right place, they got on a lot better.
But we've learned a lot through it.
Yeah.
And I think going back to your question about, how do you get through those times? I think that we have come through it, and we've been through little patches since, but we've always learned to sit down and talk about it. I think when Rob was in the law practice and I was just a mum at home with children, I didn't feel that I had the ability to sort of say how I felt about things. Not that Rob did that, but I felt I wasn't worthy of my opinion. And I think now, over the years, I feel that my opinions are valid as much as Rob's are.
You do seem to have recovered remarkably in that area, if I may say so. Yes.
But I do think it makes a heck of a difference when the woman feels equal to the man she's married to.
Yeah.
In that area.
So do you think when you started Care for the Family then, and your involvement with that was in many ways a big shift into having...
huge.
I'm
huge.
not just Rob's wife.
Yeah.
I'm Di Parsons. I've got some stuff to say too. That massively helped.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, going back to that jokey thing at the beginning, I have to say, Rob, one of the things that has surprised me over the years with Rob, he's a remarkable encourager. I mean, if it wasn't for Rob, really, I wouldn't have done half the things I've done. Because he has told me that I'm capable of doing them. Whereas I never had that I had a great parents. Yeah. My upbringing was wonderful. I was loved unconditionally, and they never put pressure on me to be anything that I couldn't be, But Rob has really encouraged and teased things out of me that I never thought I could do.
Yeah. We had a remarkable experience at the very beginning of Care for the Family. I was due to go to Scotland to speak to about 300 people, doctors, social workers, on the issue of the family. And Dan said to me about a fortnight before I went, she said, why don't I come and say something? I said, well, you've never spoken in public before. What would you say? She said, I think I'll be fine. So I rang the organisers up and I said, could my wife say something? And they said, sure, but they didn't know she'd never spoken in public and I didn't tell them. So they said, well, could she speak for 10 minutes? So I said, sure. So they had this academic speaking about the family, this professor, and he spoke for 3/4 an hour, and I spoke for half an hour, and then Diane got up. And she began with a little story I told you a moment ago, the day she woke up and said to me, darling, I don't think I can cope anymore. And honestly, within a couple of minutes, it was like you could hear a pin drop. And at the end of the whole session, there were quite a lot of people around this theologian who'd spoken 3/4 an hour, nobody around me, and a huge crowd around Diane wanting to hear her story and listen. And all you were doing was just being honest, weren't you?
Well, I think Care for the Family is built on honesty.
Yeah.
And that's...
Well, one of our key values is vulnerability.
Yes. Yeah.
Vulnerability. We're all trying to get through as best we can, all of us.
Yeah, so it sounds a lot like these are just little snapshots into that strugglers group again.
They are.
Where it's vulnerability, but then it's mixed in with encouragement.
Yeah, but it's done with compassion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what Rob was good at. He was compassionate to know that I struggled, but that I had capabilities.
Yeah.
That's an amazing set of words together, compassion and capability.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I think we're going to go to a quick break now.
Yeah.
But after the break, we're going to go back to some of the early years of your marriage and, stay tuned.
Could your relationship be on autopilot?
Drifting apart is one of the biggest reasons why couples decide to call it quits. If you'd like to invest in your relationship, you're going to love Going the Distance, a new event from Care for the Family.
Catherine Hill and Philip Gennaro share their warmth, their wisdom and their honesty as they help you to spot the warning signs, avoid the roadblocks and to help you continue on your journey together.
Going the Distance is going on tour across the UK this October. You can book your tickets now at cff.org.uk and search for Going the Distance.
Welcome back, guys. We alluded to before the break. We're going to go back in time now, 54 years ago, which is what year? What year did you guys get married?
71.
71.
I was 7.
You were 7. Times were different then. Yeah, it was a different time.
He's always looked old, though.
He was a mature 7-year-old. What was it like in the first years of marriage? Were you a lawyer then? You weren't a lawyer.
Yeah, I was a lawyer. Yeah, well, I was training to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were a teacher first of all, weren't you? And
No,
then
I
you
was a
went-
teacher when we got engaged.
Oh, okay.
And then I was a lawyer when we got married. I was on £8 a week
And a car allowance.
and a car allowance, and Diane worked for the civil service on £35 a month.
I was the civil service.
And we went on holiday to Blanes on honeymoon for 11 days.
Oh,
and guess how
lovely.
much? Oh, let me ask you this. We were on
Okay.
holiday for 11 days, full
Yeah.
board. We flew from Stansted, full board.
Okay.
Guess how much it cost a week?
A week. Like 80 quid?
Not bad. 30,
Yeah?
32 quid each.
32 quid
Yeah,
each.
it's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
disastrous honeymoon, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely dreadful. We in this little boarding house, and where the opposite our bedroom was a garage, which they siested in the afternoon and worked by night. So you can imagine the sounds.
Fantastic.
At
Yeah.
least there was some action in the night. There wasn't a lot anywhere else.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
Oh, no.
And then we came back to Cardiff and we moved into a flat. And it was an old Edwardian house, and we had the bottom floor.
Okay.
And then there were 4 female young nubile physiotherapists living upstairs, and that was pretty hard going because to get to upstairs they had to walk past our bedroom every night. So you'd be lying in bed and I'd be going to Rob, shh, shh.
Dan said to me one night, she'd nudge me. They were making a noise. She'd go and tell them to stop it. And I said, "Oh, go and tell them to stop it." It's
I
what-
wasn't like
You
that.
were. You were like that old woman who used to be on Coronation Street, Thora Heard. And so I go upstairs. I was about 11:15. I knock on the door, and this girl opened the door. I'll never forget. And she said, "Oh, hi, Rob." I said, "Oh, hi." She said, "Any problems?" I said, "Well, no, it's just her downstairs, you know." "Oh, come on in." Well, that didn't go down well, did it?
No, it didn't.
We had a bit of a row that night.
No, we had a big row, actually, one big one.
Yeah.
But you know,
But it was they were hard years actually because I'd never left home. Rob had been to college. I'd never left home, so it was a real strangeness for me.
Yeah.
And we'd been going out for 7 years, so you'd think I would know more about Rob, really, in that sense. But it was just different from being at home with your mother.
How old were you? How old were you when you got married?
22.
22.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, in some ways, it was a different culture. You know, we didn't really know each other. We'd lived separately until we got married. So suddenly you're faced with this person across the breakfast table, and you just you know, it was a big pressure, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the bedroom activity was for me so hard, so hard. I was almost frightened of sex, if I'm honest.
Okay.
So I had to go to the doctor and talk about it. But
Yeah, just be honest, Alan. Why did you tell me?
all these doctors know all this about your marriage, don't they?
but it was really difficult time.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem was, you know, it's a bit like now. You know, the media portrays sex as fantastic. The women always look amazing. The men are rough yet gentle. The beds are always made. And ours was a total disaster. went on a holiday. Somebody said, you've got to take this big tub of Vaseline with you for some reason. I couldn't quite work out why. And we came back with the tub was unopened, and it was just hard work, wasn't it? We just didn't click, I suppose. And then I remember sitting down with an older couple, and they just talked to us. It seems strange to talk like this in this culture. But you know what? I have a hunch that although sex is everywhere, still many... Well, I know for a fact, for goodness sake, we listen to people in care of the family. Many couples struggle in this area. One of the couples wants sex more than the other, and one finds it difficult, and all of that. And you think, are we the only couple going through this? And
it is a serious side of marriage.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so not to be clicking together in it is a huge issue.
Yeah,
huge issue. And you know, then babies come along, if that's
Miraculous
what you want,
babies,
or you know, if that's what you want, and then you know, suddenly 2 become 3, become 4, perhaps, and Mum's tired, she's looking after the kids all day. Dad's tired, he comes in from work. She expects Dad to sort of take over where the children are concerned, and he's not happy about that very often because he's tired too. And she wants a break from the crying children and, you know, some adult conversation. And so it goes on. Those years are pretty tough, I think.
Yeah. And that's quite normal for... all the things you've touched on are very normal for normal struggles for everyone, aren't they?
Of course, as you get older, it does change. Dan said to me the other day, darling, would you like to come upstairs and make love? I said, darling, I'm in my mid-70s. I can either do one thing or the other.
Actually, Rob, you're in your late 70s.
Oh, shut up then. I'm not in my... That is not true. Oh, you can edit that out. I'm not in my...
We have said we like honesty, haven't we?
Upper mid-70s,
yeah.
But I'd say in the midst of all these very normal struggles that you've touched on, you had something, though, that wasn't so normal happen to you guys that I would like to hear a little bit more about. Can you tell us about Ronnie and who he was and how he came into your lives and how that was another dynamic in your marriage?
Well, it was one Christmas. We hadn't been married very long. The kids weren't born then. And it was, I opened the door. It was the day before Christmas Eve, 1975. There's a man standing in the darkness. I half recognised him. Our parents didn't go to church, but we were sent to Sunday school at a little church on the corner of my street. And Ronnie was introduced to that Sunday school. He didn't have a family of his own. He lived in care, and he was slightly educationally challenged. And then we lost touch with him, but he turned up on my doorstep near Christmas, and he was homeless. He was 29 by then. He had all his worldly possessions in a black plastic bag, and in his left hand he had a frozen chicken. And I said, it's Ronnie, isn't it? Ronnie Lockwood. Yes, Rob. How did you find us? Somebody gave us your address. I said, what's with the frozen chicken? He said, somebody gave it to us for Christmas. I said, well, come on in. I'm sure Dan will cook it for you. And Di was incredible. I'll never forget. Ronnie pushed past me down the little hallway and into the kitchen, and Diane was getting a meal ready, and he thrust this frozen chicken into her hand and said, it's for you. And Diane looked from me to Ronnie to the chicken as if one of us was going to give an explanation. And she said, stay with us tonight, Ronnie, after a while. And he did, and he never left. Wow. He lived with us for 45 years. He was there before the kids came, and he was there long after they'd gone. And Di was remarkable with him. Di has been incredible with Ronnie. Because you were a mixture of roles, weren't you?
I was a mother, social worker, teacher. It was the most amazing experience of our life. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend anybody do it like we did it, but it's nonetheless, it's been a humongous experience for us and the children, really. It was very difficult on times. I learned later in life that Ronnie was autistic, on the autistic spectrum, and he could be frustrating, he could be loving, he could be annoying, he could be, he'd drive you crazy. He had these rituals that he did every day, and he had to show you these rituals that he did every day, and you used to have to pretend to him, oh, that's amazing, Ronnie. And then I'm sick of seeing this, Ronnie. but you know, it was him.
Yeah.
It was remarkable.
You're right, though. He was almost like a visitor from another world in some ways. But I think we learned lessons with each other that we actually tried on Ronnie and helped us. I remember saying to Dan one night as Ronnie went to bed, and I wish it had been when he'd been with us for 1 year, but it was more likely when he'd been with us for 40 years. I said, darling, I doubt Ronnie's ever had anyone tell them that they love him. Mm. And I said, oh, it's really sad, isn't it? And I said, when Ronnie goes to bed at night, I'm going to say, I love you, Ronnie. And it seemed a strange thing. It reminded me of times when we were in our marriage years ago, when we didn't feel we loved each other, but we used to say, I love you. And some people may say, well, that's wrong. You should be honest. Well, I don't know, not. But I can remember saying to Ronnie that night, I love you, Ronnie. I love you. And he had a stroke in the middle of COVID, and he went away in the ambulance. We couldn't go with him. And as the ambulance doors closed, I shouted, I love you, Ronnie. And he shouted back, and I love you.
I felt I couldn't do that as a female.
Okay.
I mean, I showed him immense love.
You did.
But I couldn't say that to him. I felt I may have given him the wrong impression.
I see, yeah.
But there was a wonderful moment as he was dying, wasn't there? We were with him in the darkness of the ward, and they'd taken all the tubes out of him the day before. He just had a single oxygen line. He would have been about mid-70s then, and we were sat in this dark side room watching the rise and fall of the sheets, and I hugged him and I cried and I said, I love you. And then Diane suddenly got up from her chair. Do you remember this?
I do.
And she lay next to him. Will you tell us?
I just lay my head next to his on the pillow, and I started singing Jesus Loves Me. And it was just lovely.
Yeah.
And I just wanted him to know that there was somebody there with him to the very end, and that he wasn't alone. And it was, it was a very special experience.
You were amazing
actually.
with him, Di.
Well, you were amazing as well, but he was a very special guy in our lives.
Yeah. Do you think, like looking back over that time, the 45 years, do you think you could picture your marriage looking differently if Ronnie wasn't there? Because there's such a major part of your life, before the kids were even on the scene, this whole unique dynamic that's been brought into the home.
Do you know, Luke, I've never thought about it,
Me
to be
neither,
honest, because I think because he was there that long, it didn't cross my mind, really.
Yeah.
But there were times I wished he wasn't there, if I'm truthful, and that's being honest, raw truth. Because he used to come in, when Katie was born, and he was sort of having meals with us downstairs at that time. Rob was in the law practice coming in late from work, which I was not too happy about, as you can imagine. And then Ronnie had knocked the door, and he'd have the South Wales Echo in his hand, and as I opened the door, literally he'd have the Echo and he'd go like this into my nose, you know.
Into your face, yeah.
And I'd say to him, Ron, I'm not a dog. Please don't thrust that into my face. Give it to me in my hand, and that would be lovely. But he's, you know, he had those issues that would drive you crazy.
Yeah.
But sorry, Rob, I've never thought of him not being there.
Yeah.
Because that's an interesting question.
It really is. In all the years, nobody's ever asked us that question. But it's an interesting one, because I think when you're going through a difficult time in your relationship, and we were for lots of those years, you tend to focus on yourselves. What I'm not getting from the relationship, what I want, what I deserve, what you should change, and so forth. And the truth is, you can't change somebody else, but you can change yourself.
Yeah.
And I think Ronnie we had to also in some ways look after Ronnie, and perhaps Ronnie in some strange way took us out of ourselves a bit. You know? We just took us out of ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think, I told you when I had Lloyd, I was really poorly for about 6 years. And Ronnie, in those 6 years, often came into his own, because he'd help Rob to look after the children while I was upstairs in bed.
Wow.
So he had a role that he fitted into, which gave him dignity.
Yeah.
Because we all need dignity, whether we are, whoever we are. And it gave him dignity, I think. And Rob was, very grateful for the help.
Yeah.
Ronnie began as a lodger, then he became a friend, and then in Di's illness he became the brother I never had. But can I just, always as we were talking about it came to me, can I just say something about that thing about change? You can't change somebody else, but you can change yourself. I'll tell you what did happen to us, and I sense it happened with both of us in the difficult times, is we began to speak positively about one another. Sometimes not feeling it. Instead of, why don't you do something about your hair, or why don't you do this, or why don't you always do this, or you always do that. We began to speak positively. You look nice today, and what do you think about this? And sometimes, just as an act of the will, saying positive things.
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing is, when we do that, sometimes, not always, I know they know the answers, but people change. If I could have learned anything...
It's like a spiral going down that suddenly starts to go back up again. Because you think, that was really nice you said that, and I that makes me feel good,
So and then you want
when
to
you
give
said
that in return.
spiral thing, it reminded me, we were doing a marriage seminar, Dan and I, in Canada, some years ago, probably 25 years ago, 2,000-seat auditorium. And there were a couple in the front row, and we've been told that they were about to have a divorce.
Right.
The guy organising the event said, I don't know why they're there. And honestly, they looked as if they hated each other. They moved their chairs apart from each other as far as they could. They looked as if they hated me, to be honest. And the seminar began. We both started speaking about 7:30, and it finished at 10. And at about 10 to 10, he suddenly reached out and took her hand. And I watched as she pulled her hand back, and then kept watching as she put her hand over his hand. I could hardly finish speaking. I was watching those hands. And somebody said to me at the end, are you telling us that a touch may have saved their marriage? And I said, I really don't know. And then I said what you just said, Di, about the spiral. I said, but I can tell you this. I've seen marriages go down in a spiral over the years. Not big stuff always. Just 1,000 tiny hurts that never got resolved. And sometimes the tiniest thing can kick the bottom of that spiral and get it going up again. Sometimes something as small as a touch. And if I could have rewind our relationship, I would have discovered earlier the sheer power of the words we speak. Simple things, the positive things. It changes everything, I think.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to be honest, as you said at the beginning, isn't it?
But you have to, do you know what though, Luke? People say, you've got to be honest with each other. But there's still a way of saying things in honesty. You can't, again, you can't be, what's the word I'm looking for? Cruel.
Yeah, you can't be blunt and
harsh.
You have to be careful, even in honesty, how you say things. Because once they're out of your mouth, you can never take them back.
That's true.
Yeah. Great piece of wisdom to end on.
Lovely. Yeah, perfect.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
So, shall we open up our mystery question from our previous guests?
This is from John and Sia Bostock.
They have written you a question.
Very first episode. If you haven't checked that out, please have a listen, because it was an absolute... We had an amazing time with them. And you met them briefly, didn't you?
Yeah, they're a lovely, lovely couple.
Well, they've written a question just for you guys.
Okay, all right.
So here we go. So what's one thing you wish you knew at the beginning of marriage that you know now?
Oh, there goes a whole episode.
What's the one thing I wished I'd known?
Right at the beginning.
Shall I go while you think?
Yeah, it takes me a while.
I wish I'd realised that winning the argument is normally nothing like as important as it appears to be. It's not the case now, but I'm thinking our early marriage, I was better with words than Diane. And I would win many of the arguments. But it's a fallacy. You stalk out of the kitchen, your brilliant rhetoric has brought you out on top. But you haven't won. If you could go back and be a fly on the wall and see what you'd left behind, that person had so much to say, but for that moment they perhaps just weren't quite as articulate as you. And what is in them will come out one day. It will come out. And I wish often I just backed off. And I wish I hadn't had as many rows about things, because you know what, if you can learn to resolve things quickly and forget them, the next day you can't even remember what the row was about. But if you fight and get bitter, it rolls on down the years. I wish I'd let more things go more quickly.
Yeah, that's great.
And I wish I'd seen in Diane all the incredible woman she was, and not tried to make her be somebody she couldn't be.
Looking back, I wish I wasn't as nervous of doing things as I was, and that I would have stepped out a bit more out of the boat. But you know what? It's all worked out amazingly well. Rob, as I said, has been a great encourager. And I would say that to people. Encourage each other. Bring out the good in each other.
Yeah.
And, enjoy each other's talents. Don't be jealous of them. Enjoy them.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been great having you on. And, we knew it'd be a good one, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving up your time to be with us.
What's going on with you guys now? How can people... What projects are you both working on?
Well, I'm touring at the moment with an event called An Evening with Rob Parsons, where I just sit in an armchair and basically tell stories. I love doing it. We tell stories of our marriage, our life together, time with Ronnie, the lessons we learned from living with a homeless guy, and what it was like in the early years of marriage, and the dark times and the good times. I love doing that. So that's been a lot of fun. And I'm in the middle of promoting the paperback of my new book called A Knock at the Door. Comes out in a month or so. So I'll be busy promoting that and talking about that. But life's pretty busy, isn't it?
I'm finishing a Christmas book, which will be out at Christmas. Funny enough.
Yeah, that's strange.
Not Easter.
Yeah. So, and I'm thinking, I think listening to Rob, I might do an evening with Diane Parsons.
I'd go to that.
That'd be a turn up for the books.
I'd like to sit at the back of that.
I'd be front row.
Yeah.
I've got lots of stuff to say, as you can imagine.
Yeah, you might have one heckler there, but
I can handle that.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. And thanks to everyone who has tuned in to listen to this. We've had an incredible time today, haven't we?
We have. So please don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe across all our social media channels so that you don't miss any future episodes coming out. And please tell your friends.
Yeah, and please follow on for the next week's episode. We're actually going to have an expert episode, so slightly different. And stay tuned. It's going to be amazing. See you in the next one.
Couple Goals was brought to you by Care for the Family. We produce shows, resources and events to help support family life across the UK. And we couldn't do any of that without the generous support of thousands of people just like you. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please consider partnering with us in our mission. If you'd like to do so, just head to cff.org.uk/donate to find out more. Thanks again for being with us, and we'll see you next time.